Hey everyone, welcome back to the Skull Session Recruiting Podcast brought to you by BuckeyeHuddle.com. I am Marc Givler. We got Kevin Noon here. Our uh, player profile recruiting capsules here continue on National Signing Day 2023. We are going to be talking about offensive lineman Miles Walker in this edition. 6'6", 285-pound offensive tackle, the Brunswick School in Connecticut. So a kind of a rare dip into Connecticut for Ohio State here. Miles committed to the Buckeyes over the summer after an official visit, and was very quiet throughout the recruiting process, and very quiet, drama-free recruiting process after his commitment. And so Buckeyes happy to sign him as a true offensive tackle, get him into the fold. Kevin, this was another guy there's been a few like this in this class who it wasn't like a long time, like, oh, this was a year or two in the making type of thing when he committed to Ohio State. This kind of got some traction very quickly over the summer. What do you think here with this pickup, with this signing, and how important, I guess, was it, just all the agonizing we do over tackle recruiting?
Well, I think it's important because remember, obviously, they made the move from Greg Studrara to Justin Fry, and the question was going to be how quickly was Justin Fry going to be able to get involved on the recruiting trail? He's recruiting one set of kids to UCLA, and he's going to be recruiting a different set of kids to Ohio State. And each program kind of has the things that they're looking for, and certainly I don't think UCLA is a program that necessarily has a lot of East Coast reach. I mean, maybe they think they will once they join the Big Ten in 2024, but we know that recruiting is such a relationship business, and he had to kind of hurry up and make some of these relationships. I think that Miles is important because we do talk so much about tackle recruiting, and I think looking at what Ohio State's landscape looks like in 23, with the promise of needing a couple of new tackles there and just nobody really emerging into certain roles. I mean, you could have a bunch of right tackles. Who's going to be your left tackle? And I'm not saying that Miles is necessarily the guy. I mean, he's 6'6", 285 is what he's reported at. We never know. I mean, media guide heights and weights are generally all over the place, but I think that he's a solid player. I mean, a 3-star. Ohio State certainly has a lot of guys that, we're still kind of waiting to see. So there's a lot of opportunity if you come in and you handle your business.
Yeah, this one has kind of a Zen Mihalski type of feel to it for me. Miles was a late bloomer, growth spurt, kind of midway through high school. Doesn't play in an area that's particularly heavily recruited. Lot of physical upside though. Here's the tape. I mean, he can really move. Great feet, long arms. Has that tackle frame you're looking for. But right now, it's just this is a long-term projection. You love the physical tools. I think this is going to be a player who you need to wait. I think pretty much every offensive lineman you need to wait a year or two. But I think with Miles, again, I look at like a Zen Mihalski path where, the first year is kind of just a total, almost a throwaway year. You're probably redshirting. You're adding strength. You're adding weight. You're improving your technique. Year two, you're maybe starting to see yourself on the depth chart a little bit, and then by year three, you're hopefully in the mix. And I think that's kind of the goal here with Miles. And those types of guys, you can get stars from this type of layout in terms of that 3-year development plan. You can, when you're dealing with 6'6", 285 with great athleticism, you can find these hidden gems here. There's a lot of guys that fit Miles Walker's profile who have gone on to really good NFL careers. So it's not a knock on him by any means. It's just kind of the path he's probably going to have to take at Ohio State. And we'll see where it goes. I thought this was an important pickup for a couple of reasons. One, obviously, yes, the offensive tackle situation. We've talked about it so much. They need more bodies at tackle. They're probably going to the portal here this winter for an immediate impact guy, which I think will take the pressure off some of their younger tackle prospects like Miles, like a George Fitzpatrick, and kind of let them keep their normal progression and development paths. But getting another guy here in the pipeline who can play left tackle, I think, was critical. The other interesting nugget here, and you kind of alluded to it as well, is this was the one guy that Justin Fry really had his hands on in this class. The other offensive linemen in this class were Ohio guys. The ball had already been rolling. At least I know Josh Padilla was already committed. So it just kind of, this is the guy that Fry went out and found and handpicked. And so this will be an interesting one to follow, if nothing else, for that very reason, as this was kind of the first Justin Fry impact on the recruiting trail. You know, yes, would they have liked to get a Samson Okunlola? Of course. If you listen to us for the last year, that was never happening. They looked at a couple other options as maybe adding a fifth one, and who knows, again, with the transfer portal now and the late signing period, I don't anticipate they're going to go late signing period on someone to add a fifth and to add yet another tackle to this class. But again, as we mentioned earlier, I think transfer portal is a possibility there. Kevin, just your thoughts on the tackle situation right now. Do you think, with what they've got here with Miles, with, some of the other guys we're going to talk about in this class, and with, maybe going portal shopping this winter, are you comfortable with the tackle landscape moving forward for Ohio State?
Are you ever really comfortable with any position at this point? And we're seeing some long snapping here. I don't think that's necessarily going to be a case here. So let's dump out of those highlights. Yeah, I if I were comfortable, I'd be like, well, they don't need to go to the portal. Well, they do need to go to the portal, but that's a short-term fix, and we kind of need to see what next year, what 24 looks like before we get there. Now, when they signed Zen Mihalski, I didn't know really what to make there. When they signed George Fitzpatrick, what good-looking kid. I don't know what he is. I don't know what he is, and just because a kid's a good-looking kid doesn't necessarily mean they all work out, because they don't all work out. But so far Zen seems to be working out. I'm hearing good things about George at this point, but he's still very young, very green at this point. But yeah, they're going to need a lot of help. You always have to keep those tackles going in, because you don't get those Paris Johnsons all the time. And that one was very fortunate because that one was in the state of Ohio. Granted, Justin Fry's predecessor had guys that were from the state of Ohio who walked away. Obviously Jackson Carman, Blake Miller. There are guys that have managed to get away from Ohio State. So you have to keep on firing. And I think that really this is the first year of note that you're going to hold Justin Fry responsible for what O-line recruiting is, because you hit the nail on the head. 3 of the 4 linemen are from the state of Ohio. 1 was already in the class. The other 2 largely in the class. It could all be up for debate at that point, but this is going to be the year where he's had that full year to evaluate and create those relationships as going into junior season and now going on top to senior season.
Yeah, 24 is really going to tell us a lot about Justin Fry, the recruiter. I thought the first year he did a pretty good job with the offensive line. We can nitpick some short yardage stuff. But all in all, I thought the offensive line improved this year, and they got the guys they wanted in state on the recruiting trail. How much of that you want to attribute to Fry? Like I said, Josh Padilla was already committed. I think he certainly helped that he was able to quickly get in there and build relationships with Luke Montgomery and Austin Searveld, but obviously not guys that he had recruited for a very long time before they committed. So you kind of expect to get those guys anyway. So 24 is going to kind of tell us the tale here. I like him going portal for a quick, 1-2 year fix. Let the young guys continue to develop. I liked George Fitzpatrick. This is kind of the funny thing. I was able to see Fitzpatrick and Mihalski late in their high school careers. So I got a pretty good feel for those guys, where they were at. I liked both of them. I thought Fitzpatrick showed very well for himself at the All-American Bowl last year. There's some stuff there that I like. I don't have as much data on Miles Walker. This has been a lot of film and talking to people who have seen him or talking to people who know him. And so this one's a little bit more of a wild card for me, just because, again, I'm not as comfortable with the evaluation, but you do really like the athleticism. And if he's anything close to 6'6", which I have no reason to doubt on that. I know Ohio State's, had him on campus, verified all that stuff. So if he's that size, moving that well, there's a lot to like there. The other thing I think, as we kind of wrap this one up, is he is a highly intelligent kid. The Brunswick school is a very high level. It's like a college prep academy basically, and he had Duke and Vanderbilt were among his finalists. So those schools don't offer guys who cut it in the classroom. And then his other two official visits were Texas A&M and Penn State, which are two programs that recruit very well. So this was a good mix of competition here for Ohio State, where you had high academic schools and a couple of top football programs. Texas A&M's season this year notwithstanding, but so there's stuff to like here, and I think intelligence is very important at offensive line. These guys, I think they get this reputation as these big ogres, but a lot of the good ones are actually very very smart. Just knowing, picking up protections, just kind of knowing the offense and everything else. So there's a lot to like here. And we'll see, what happens. I think, again, the earlier you can get him in here and start lifting some weights and filling out. And, we talked about this a little bit on the Keenholz one, with just going back over the Grant Schmidt thing. Just, it is going to be interesting. Miles has probably never really been punched in the mouth by a 6'6", 275-pound, future first-round pick defensive end. So we're going to see how he responds to that, as we will with all these linemen we're going to talk about. So that'll always be interesting. But high upside guy, high academic kid, and a guy that Justin Fry kind of handpicked over the summer. So we will see where that one goes. That'll wrap up this capsule. We, again, BuckeyeHuddle.com if you want to read all of them and watch the videos, or you can get them on YouTube.com/BuckeyeHuddle. Please subscribe to the channel if you're not already. And you can also download these on all your podcast platforms. But we will catch you on the next one.